So today, this is long overdue. I've been a little bit busy going back to practice and stuff without that much time. But, all right, nonetheless, it's time. It's overdue still. It's time to break down week 3 of the NFL. So starting with Thursday Night Football, we had the Miami Dolphins against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Going into this, I had a feeling that Fitzpatrick was going to go crazy. I'm not sure what my exact score was, but I predicted them to win by a pretty good margin, just based off the fact that Fitzpatrick has been playing on fire and that Dolphins team is actually pretty good. So my takeaways from this, looking at my notes here, is that Myles Gaskin looks really good. I'm a big fan of his. I'm glad to see that the Dolphins have a good running back like that. I thought it was going to be Matt Breida, but Myles Gaskin is filling in really nicely for them. Someone else who looked really good for the Dolphins was Mike Gesicki. He had a really awesome touchdown. He didn't make like any crazy plays from what I remember, but over the few weeks, he's just been producing a lot, and it's really awesome for the Dolphins. On the other side, for the Jaguars, James Robinson, I'm a big fan of this guy so far. I love the way he runs the ball. Even more impressive that he was undrafted. I think the Jaguars definitely got a steal with James Robinson. If you started Gardner Minshew, he was kind of running around a lot. The Dolphins were getting in there. I think they're just a solid team, and that's why there was so much pressure. Also, the Jags don't have the best O-line, but that's a big reason why Minshew is struggling. So going on to the next game, we have the Chicago Bears versus the Atlanta Falcons. I think Mitch looked good early in the game. He had a really long run that I really liked, but eventually he threw a pick and he was benched. Do you guys think he deserved it? Bears fans, let me know. I don't know. I feel like he could have kept playing, but it is what it is. Later on in the game, Jimmy Graham has a really crazy catch that should have been picked, and I think he even fumbled it, and they still had the ball. But eventually Nick Foles leads the Bears to victory, so I don't know. Are you happy as a Bears fan? Are you confused? What are you guys feeling right now? I feel like I'd be more confused. Maybe a little bit happy that Nick Foles is starting now, but I mean, I guess we can see. And for Atlanta, dude, it's just a mess over there. But I will say they look good. They always look good at the start of the games. They had a good first drive. They had for a really big play. Brian Hill looks really good. And both sides are looking good until the fourth quarter. The defense lets up 7, and then later on, Allen Robinson, all right, he scores off a missed tackle. So, you got to play better than that. You can't let people score that easily. And towards the end of the game, Matt Ryan has a chance to win the game, drive down the field, and he ends up throwing a pick. So, it's not good over there. I'm not surprised that there's people who want Dan Quinn to be fired. That's all I'm going to say. Next, we have the LA Rams against the Buffalo Bills. Right off the bat, Josh Allen is a beast. He's incredible. He's awesome. I love watching him this year. He was someone that I was really rooting for and someone that I expected to do really well this year. And also, Devin Singletary looked pretty good. But not only that, we can talk about how good Josh Allen is, but he really showed his biggest flaw, and that's the fact that he's young and he still does these wild plays. He had a wild throw on 1st and 20, I think it was, for an interception. It was just a crazy play. You can't be doing that. If you're going to be a top quarterback, you can't be doing that, especially on 1st and 20. It's first down. Just hold on to the ball there. He's trying to make plays, but, sometimes it doesn't work out. Not only that, the second half, he showed his biggest flaw, or another one of his flaws is just not taking care of the ball. But that's expected with young quarterbacks. And Josh Allen, even though he doesn't take care of the ball, he makes wild plays. He also makes really good plays. There's a 3rd and 22 that he got to Cole Beasley. That was pretty cool. And he finished the game for the Bills. But there was that PI call, which I don't think that was a good call. But nonetheless, he finished the game. On the other side of the ball, the Rams, McVay's play calling is what separates him from so many other coaches. He's awesome. But at the beginning, they couldn't really get anything going. They were driving down a little bit. I think there was a missed field goal and whatnot, but they weren't scoring, at least in the beginning of the game. But in the third quarter, they kind of flipped it around. It was a good drive for 7 to start off with Jared Goff. And not only that, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp were looking awesome in the second half. And then Aaron Donald had a huge strip sack on Josh Allen, which really shifted the game. Also, Darrell Henderson played very well for them. And for them on the PI call, I don't like it. I think that was a really bad call. That's just me talking for the Rams perspective for them. Bad call there, not really fair. But nonetheless, you can't blame the outcome of the game on one play. So those are my thoughts there. Next, we have the New England Patriots against the Las Vegas Raiders. For me, I had a few people saying the Raiders are going to win, and I was just like, no way. They pulled off an upset. They played well against the Saints, but no, they're not good enough to beat the Patriots. There wasn't much going on at the beginning. There was turnovers for both teams. There was a fumble for the Raiders, Josh Jacobs, I believe, and then a pick for the Patriots. But late in the second quarter, the offense for the Patriots looks good. Cam looks good. But that's the thing about the Patriots is that they just always look good. They're always going to be coached well, and they're always going to be in games, and they're always going to make players better than what they really are, I would say. Then for the Raiders, I think late in the second half, I want to say, yeah, there's like a PI for Hunter Renfrow, and then they scored a touchdown, which was pretty big. Something that I made a note of, Jonathan Abram, dude, you need to get different sleeves, bro. Those are weird. I want to know why he wears those. But something that was really surprising out of the game I forgot to talk about was Sony Michel and Rex Burkhead went crazy if you had them for fantasy. Especially Burkhead, who had 3 touchdowns. Who would have guessed that? That was crazy. Next, Tennessee versus Minnesota. So Tennessee Titans won 31-30. What we know about the Vikings is that Dalvin Cook is a beast, but he did have a fumble. Harrison Smith played well for the Vikings. He had a nice interception. The Vikings are finally using Justin Jefferson. People have been waiting for this, and he showed that he's a beast out there. And he had an awesome catch on 3rd and 2, and then he scored that amazing touchdown. He's a beast. But early in the third, Kirk Cousins has a really bad pick. And besides that, there was an amazing play by Kyle Rudolph. He had a one-handed catch. I think it was for a touchdown. I think so, right? Yeah, it was for a touchdown, I'm pretty sure. But yes, that was a great play. But later in the game, there's a second down, and it's a fumbled snap. It results in a 13-yard loss, and then it's 3rd and long. They get nothing, and then they chuck it up on 4th down to end the game. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. As for the Titans, Tannehill looks really good in the pocket. Again, like last week, like I said, he's a true veteran. Really like Tannehill. I've always been a big fan of him ever since he was in Miami. Henry got going. And in a really cool touchdown, jumping over the line. So, it's surprising to see that the Vikings were really in this game. Maybe the Vikings are fixing things. Maybe the Titans just aren't that good. Maybe a combination of both. I like to think it's a combination of both. Interesting game there, though. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals versus the Detroit Lions. Cardinals lost, all right, by 3 points. I think that was an upset. I'm pretty sure the Cardinals were the favorites in that game. For the Lions, Matt Stafford looked really good. They had a good 4th and 1 touchdown in the first quarter. A great 2-minute drill before the second half. Kenny G had a good touchdown there, and it was just a good win for the Lions. But for the Cardinals, Kyler is awesome. Kyler is amazing. He threw a pick off someone's hands. He ran a touchdown in. And in the second half, he threw a pick to Jeff Okudah, a rookie for the Lions. And the good thing is the Cardinals' defense had pressure on Matt Stafford, which is something that you always want to see. So the Cardinals are a good team. They're just not there yet. They beat my 49ers, so I can't really talk. But I'm going to stick by that. That was an upset, okay? So next up, we have Dallas versus Seattle. Dallas had a good drive to start. But on defense, I'm not sure if they scored in the first. I think they got like a field goal. I could be wrong. But on the other side for the Cowboys, their DBs blew coverage, and I think Tyler Lockett scored a touchdown. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And then later on, they have a safety, dude. They did not start off that good. They had a good drive to start the game, but after that, it did not look too good for them. And then they finally get a good drive and miss the PAT. So how classic is that? The Cowboys are definitely a second-half team. Some positives, though. Cedric Wilson had 2 really cool touchdowns. That just means the wide receivers for the Cowboys are really deep. They have probably one of the better receiving cores in the league. With that being said, Dak has a really nice connection with Gallup. That was really cool to see. Gallup's a young guy, very talented guy. So these receivers are really solid, and the Cowboys have a good air attack. especially with their O-line being banged up. That's something that, everyone should look out for, and I think they're going to tear a lot of teams up with. Speaking of Gallup, he got a really lucky completion that should have been picked when the guy was like sliding on the ground or whatever, and had it in his hands, and then he kicked it in the air. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. And then to end the game, Dak has a chance, tries to make a play, stays on his feet, but then throws the pick. I think Jerry Jones made a comment on that. I don't know. You guys can tell me what you think about those comments from Jerry Jones, but I think Dak's solid. I think he's good. Now for Seattle, they started off well. Oh my gosh. And then DK Metcalf, he made me so upset when he let up before scoring. I have him for fantasy in like 3 of my 4 leagues, and he does that. I was so excited. That was ridiculous. Shaquille Griffin had a really good play on the pick driving on the ball. That was an awesome teaching point for any corners out there. And the Seahawks, they were playing well, but they start the third with a turnover. It becomes a close game. Russ takes them down the field to score the go-ahead touchdown, eventually the game winner. Russell Wilson is not that far from Mahomes. He's freaking so talented. But of course, you can't really say he's the best when you see what Mahomes does sometimes, but he's right there. Next, we're going to have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals. There's a lot of sacks and field goals in this game. For the Bengals, there was pressure on Joe Burrow early on, which seems to be the case every week they play. But Burrow still made some good plays with his legs, had some really nice throws, and not only that, he had very nice chemistry with T. Higgins, which you like to see from your 2 rookies. T. Higgins had 2 touchdowns. For the Eagles, Miles Sanders, he looked really good, but Wentz, he did not. He threw a pick early on, but after that, he made some good plays. And later on, there's Jalen Hurts in the game for a cool gadget play, which I really liked. But back to Wentz, he threw another pick late in the third, and then he missed on Miles Sanders with a wide open throw down the sideline. You need him to make those throws. But he kind of makes up for it with the 2-minute drill at the end of regulation when he leads them down and runs in the touchdown. That's the thing with Carson Wentz. He can make good plays. He just has to be more consistent now, playing like how he did before he got hurt, which I always would say I believed in Carson Wentz, but now it's very tough to do that, man. It's very tough. Got into a big debate with my friends with Wentz and Dak, and it's no. I can't vouch for you anymore, dude. In overtime, the Eagles have a really big throw and catch. I think it was to Zach Ertz, but there was a holding call. You can't be doing that when you have big plays. Then they get the ball into field goal range for a 59-yard attempt, and then they false start. Can't be doing that if you want to win, all right? It was a weird game. No one really knew who's going to win between the Bengals and the Eagles. I went with the Bengals there. 2 not-so-good teams, though. Next, we have the Washington football team against the Cleveland Browns. Browns won 34-20. There's pressure on both QBs this whole game. For the Redskins, Haskins started off well. I liked the way he was playing to start the game. But then in the second quarter, he threw a pick, and then it was returned, and then it was fumbled. It was just a wild play, but the Browns still got the turnover there. And then later on in the second, he throws another pick. But enough talking about the bad. When he could get the ball to his receivers like Terry McLaurin looked awesome. And not only that, he had a really nice drive. Haskins had a really nice drive in the third. He even picked up a 4th down for them. But side note, before I forget, Chase Young, they showed him on the sideline with no pads. That dude is so massive. It's actually ridiculous. But anyways, back to Haskins. In the fourth quarter, he throws another pick. And then later on, there's a huge strip sack on Dwayne Haskins for his 4th turnover. Got to protect the ball there. Redskins. Oh, I always say that. It's not the Redskins. Washington football team. Do you guys still believe in Haskins? Do you guys think he needs more help? I don't know. He's young. He's young, though. He has time to learn. As for the Browns, there's really not much to talk about. Things were clicking. Baker looked all right. Receivers looked all right. Nick Chubb is amazing, though. That's the biggest thing for the Browns right now is they need to ride Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, dude. They got to run the ball a lot. Nick Chubb had a really awesome run for a touchdown in that game. Next, we have the Houston Texans against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Both offenses actually started off pretty well. For the Texans, Deshaun Watson doing what Deshaun Watson does. He had a really cool play where he was breaking a sack and he breaking away from a sack and picked up a first down early in the game. But on the other side, the Texans have blown coverage, let Juju freaking walk into the end zone. You can't be having that. It's the NFL. Back to Watson, though. He had a nice 2-minute drill before the second half. Finds Fuller for a touchdown. You like to see that. I like to see him using those weapons that he has. I guess weapons. They're more so role player, not really like elite type receivers, but you know what I mean. And then later on, early in the fourth, Watson tries to make something happen. And he throws a pick. You really feel for the guy. He's always running around. They always have pressure on him now. He has to make things happen, but he's throwing to Will Fuller and Randall Cobb as his number one. Brandon Cooks as a number one. Very rough for him. As for the Steelers, they played well. Offense looked good. Defense was solid. Eric Ebron had a really cool touchdown. James Conner was running hard. And the Steelers were just all over Watson, man. I'm still not buying the Steelers, though. I don't think the Texans are that good. I think it was a better showcase of who they were, but I don't think the Texans are that good. Next, we have Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Denver Broncos. Tampa Bay won 28-10. For the Broncos, man, starting off the game, there was a block punt. You hate to see it. But Driscoll, he played well. He had a nice late, he played okay. And then he had a nice late touchdown in the first half. And he was getting pressured every single play. But at the top of the third quarter, there's a safety, and then the next drive, there's a pick. But one bright spot for the Broncos is Shelby Harris played really well. He had 2 sacks, I'm pretty sure, and a pass deflection. That's good to see. I think he's a D tackle, right? D lineman. Yeah, he played well. For the Buccaneers, Tom Brady hit Godwin right away in the game. He had a nice deep ball to Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller made an awesome catch there. O.J. Howard also made an awesome catch with the man hands, I like to say. He also had a nice fade ball to Mike Evans. I really want to see that more. That's something that they should be doing very often. And another nice throwing catch between Tom Brady and Godwin. That's how the Buccaneers should be playing. That's how I expected them to be playing. Just airing that ball out. You have so many weapons and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That's what we want to see. That's what I want to see, especially since I have Mike Evans on my fantasy team. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers against the Los Angeles Chargers. Austin Eckler, he looks awesome. I love seeing him play. But for Herbert on the offense, he struggled for the most part. He threw a pick. And then Josh Kelly had a fumble, but later on Herbert actually bounced back, leading the team down to score in the fourth. Almost led them to a win, and they probably could have won if they converted on the hook and ladder, but it is what it is. Herbert's young, it happens. People might say he took a step back, but he's very young. He played one game. As for the Panthers, Mike Davis, I really like. Someone to pick up on fantasy if you play fantasy. And Teddy looked good, but they didn't really score. There's a lot of field goals. There's a lot of field goals for the Panthers. Could be different if they convert, get first downs, score touchdowns. Next, we have the New York Jets against the Indianapolis Colts. Darnold had a pick 6 on the first drive. Last week, I vouched for Darnold. I said, hey, he's not the problem. Then he does this to me. Come on, dude. You can't be doing that to me. Next drive, he makes a ridiculous play with no time for a touchdown. But then he throws another pick. But then he throws another pick in the second quarter. And then to end the third quarter, he throws another pick 6. So I'm trying, man. I'm trying to vouch for you. Can't be doing that. And then there's a safety in the fourth quarter. All bad over there for the Jets. But for the Colts, they're driving down the field. The offense looks good. Mo Ali Cox playing well. Phillip Rivers loves him. He had a touchdown and a big play. Jonathan Taylor looks great. And, of course, the defense, I'm pretty sure, is the best defense in the league. Statistically, at least. Next, we have my 49ers against the New York Giants. Daniel Jones actually started off looking pretty good. He showed that he could run a little bit. But then there's a turnover with the Giants with the gadget play, trying to pitch it to, I think, Evan Ingram on kind of like a fake type deal. Yeah, not the best. just poor execution there. Later in the second quarter, Daniel Jones threw a pretty bad ball for a pick. You know, I'm always going to say they're so young. Like, this is the last year. I think rookie and sophomore year is it. After that, you have to pretty much go up. Like Josh Allen, my dog. But for the 49ers, Nick Mullins played very well. Look, I know he played well. Don't tell me he's a starter. He played against the Giants. Come on. Just let's cut that out right now. I've seen him as a starter. Granted, our team was not that good at the time. But let's cut that out right now, please. As for running backs and the offense, McKinnon looked really awesome. Jeff Wilson looked good. Brandon Ayuk got an awesome play for a touchdown. Great setup by Kyle Shanahan for an end around. Yeah, dude. I mean, there's not really much to talk about. You expect to win that game. Even though we had so many players injured, the Giants are not that good. We're just a better team, better coach team, I would say. Especially with the Giants having a first-year coach who was a special teams coordinator. Not to knock on him, but it's tough to come in right away and win, especially with the roster like that. Then the Sunday night game, New Orleans Saints versus the Green Bay Packers. A lot of people were excited for this game. It was a pretty good game to watch for the most part. Both offenses started off pretty hot. And starting off on the Saints side, Kamara, dude, he's so awesome. He makes plays. You love to see that. Kamara started off really good. Drew Brees had a few good drives. Very late in the game, they get a 4th down stop, but then there's a huge fumble from Taysom Hill. That was huge. That was a big difference in the game right there. Not only that, Janoris Jenkins is horrible. The late behind the 4th. Not even going to talk about Janoris anymore. Don't know how he's still in the league. But towards the end of the game, same story as last week. Try to dink and dunk down the field. They get a field goal. There's no shots. Drew Brees can't take those shots. But for the Packers, Allen Lazard looked awesome. Aaron Rodgers looked awesome. Their offense is great. Aaron Jones is awesome. They're a force to reckon with right now. But I will say late in the third, it looked like a pass interference on Mercedes Lewis. I will say that. But nonetheless, the Packers are a good team. Now going to Monday Night Football earlier this week, Baltimore Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs. I had my money on the Ravens because of their defense. But the Chiefs are a different breed. The Chiefs' offense is insane. It's ridiculous how unfair it is. And it's hard. Dude, I don't know how you're supposed to stop them. Just like last year, the Chiefs' offense is going to be a huge problem that not a lot of people will be able to figure out and solve. Yeah, the Chiefs' offense is awesome. They started on fire, and they pretty much finished the game on fire. The Ravens really had no answer. But later on, the Ravens did get a turnover, but they only scored 3 points, which is not enough because you know this Chiefs offense is going to score. That's just what they do. It's very hard to stop. For the Ravens, Lamar started with a big run, but that was about it. After that, the Chiefs were pretty much all over them, which I think the Chiefs, I don't think their roster is that talented on defense, but they play really well together and they have good schemes. I think Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, of course, are studs, but that's really it. And it's impressive to me. It's impressive to me that they're able to do that. But for the Ravens, back to the Ravens, they had an awesome kickoff return for a touchdown off a short kick. That was pretty cool. It's always fun to see special teams score. But the Ravens gave up a big man touchdown. That's how everyone knew it's over when they saw Eric Fisher catching touchdowns. But yeah, that's the breakdown for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was very fun. I need to do these faster, sooner. I'm going to be more on top of it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what kind of shocked you throughout the week and whatnot. All right? If you're listening to this, watching this, I hope you have a great day. Peace out.